Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany
and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows
like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and more.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Cynthia.
And today we're talking about Season 2, Episode 18, titled The Lonesome Road, aired April 26, 2005, and the synopsis is:
Lucas and Peyton hide Jake and Jenny at Nathan's place while he chases Haley. Lucas finds Dan's secret hiding place for cash and a ledger, and his ex Darby turns up and she ends up coming out to her parents. Nathan accepts an invitation to spend the night at the bar Taylor works at, and then Brooke breaks the rules and gets grounded by Karen. So Nathan is on the road when he gets a phone call from Taylor. She's apparently working at the bar called Swinging Donkey in Athens, Georgia. Apparently she went to Florida and then somehow ended up there.
And how long has it been? A week?
I don't know. Yeah. So Nathan says he just passed a place called Slick Lizard, Alabama.
I was waiting for you to say the name.
Yeah. And Taylor figures out that means he went chasing after Haley. And she says that she hopes that she's sitting next to him, but Nathan says she's not.
She already knows she's not.
Right, yeah.
Really, Taylor?
Mm-hmm. I guess she was hoping Haley changed her mind at the last second, but Nathan spots his ring in that little drawer that he put in the other episode at the end. And then on Taylor's side, the music starts playing, so she has to go. And Nathan wants to know what's going on. Taylor says, don't ask. She'll see him when she sees him, and hangs up. And then did you see Nathan having that little smile on his face after she hung up?
Oh, yeah, he wanted to go see her?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then again, he was attracted to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It sometimes the attraction doesn't go away.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be honest, remember, he wasn't attracted to Haley.
Right.
Not like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which I found weird.
Yeah.
That he was with her sister. So I guess it's coming back to him I'm not with Haley, so she doesn't want me, but now I can finally go after Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
So messed up.
Yeah. And the next scene, Peyton, Lucas, and Jake go to Nathan's apartment. And Lucas says that he talked to Nathan before he left, so he said it was okay. And Peyton asks how Nathan is doing, and they go into the apartment to see a mess. So Peyton says, not so good, it looks like. And Lucas says it might not be the cleanest, but it's a good place for Jake to hide for a couple of days. And then Lucas has to go to the dealership before school. And apparently Jake is meeting his lawyer later today because Lucas asked. And it's going to be a couple of hours. Then he tells Lucas he's sorry to drag him into the mess. He just couldn't involve his parents. And Lucas reminds Jake that he said if he needs him, he can call him. So even with this meeting for the lawyer, the girls, Hillary and Sophia, because I don't think Joy was in this episode to talk about it, but Jake's parents still didn't make an appearance for this meeting with the lawyer, not even one of them, even though they should have been.
That's what I don't understand. He's a teenage boy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying, I can't involve my parents. That's their responsibility as your parent until you are 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're 18, yes, you don't need your parents' permission. You don't need their help, even though if you're in a bind, you still do. But he's underage. That is their responsibility. Yes, he's a teen parent, but you're their responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Jenny's yours.
Yeah.
Would he want Jenny to be 16 in his situation and not call him or rely on him? No, he would never want that. So, really? And plus, you have been involving your parents. Remember, they were the ones taking care of Jenny. They were the ones paying for Jenny. So, you're just now going to just not involve them?
Right, yeah.
And because his parents, they were taking care of Jenny, of course, they would be the parents that would be involved in the legal stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing if they were you're on your own, you have to take care of her, but they weren't. They were the ones taking care of Jenny and letting him have free time. Remember basketball?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, given that, his parents don't seem like the people that would be like, you deal with the legal. It's too much for me.
Right.
That doesn't seem like that'd be like Haley's parents right now because they're AWOL.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not his parents.
Right.
So it's just really annoying that he's just going to do all this on his own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but of course, we said before the show just didn't really have the budget or, I guess time to bring in a couple people or one person to play his parents.
But they brought in 2 people to be Annas.
Yeah, we didn't see their faces, but yeah, they're
We
stand-ins.
could have, and we could have just seen 2 background people as Jake's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Right. And then at the dealership, Lucas walks into Dan's office and looks up the ceiling tile, making it very obvious. Because when Dan walks in, he asks what's up with Lucas. Lucas says nothing. He was just dropping off some papers for him to sign.
Okay.
And
Lucas. Okay. Okay. Lucas is, the good one, except for right now he's being an idiot. Okay, he was just standing in there looking up at the ceiling.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Really, Lucas?
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it for everyone to see, but not only just everyone, Dan.
Yeah.
I was like, Lucas, that is one of the dumbest things you can do is just stand there and stare at it. Like, and then he says, well, when Dan's like, oh, well, what are you doing? Because, Dan sees that he's staring up there. He was like, oh, I just have some like papers. And I'm like, okay, when you walk, right before you even walk in, you can see he's not in his office.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason why you would need to be in his office because he's not there. So then when you say, well, I'm just here to drop off, then why didn't you just put it on his desk if that's what you were there for? Or why didn't you just leave because he's like, Lucas,
Yeah.
how dumb can you be? I'm like, are you kidding me? You are going up against a professional.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that was the dumbest thing ever because you're just standing there staring at the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and then to lie and say, I'm just here for and I'm surprised that Dan played along and didn't just say, well, I'm here now. Like, I don't know. I was just like, really? And also, even if Dan was gone, you don't think a loyal employee is going to tell him, hey, I saw Lucas just like staring in your office.
Right.
Because there's some people that I'm sure will do anything to save their job. And even if it means taking down somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure he's got those loyal employees.
Yeah, and Dan knows he's snooping around, so he like gives him the, a few days off or the day off tomorrow.
Yeah, I see you haven't been playing on the river court. Why don't you? But remember what Nathan said to Karen? He doesn't need the river court because he's got his own court in Dan Scott's driveway.
Yeah.
So when Dan said that, I'm like, but why would he need to go to the river court?
Right. And then Dan leaves his office
and Lucas is still there.
Yep.
I'm like, Lucas, you are a complete idiot at this point.
Yep. And yeah, he thinks he's being, sneaky, but he closes the blinds,
I think Lucas thinks that he is above Dan at this point. Like Dan has no clue. And I'm like, Dan is already on you. Like you're an idiot at this point. And so when Dan walks out, right? And then Lucas is like, oh, perfect time. I'm gonna close the blinds. Are you serious right now, Lucas? You did okay. A normal person that is snooping would wait for Dan to get in his car because Dan said he's going to a meeting and drive away. You wouldn't do it as soon as he steps out the door because Dan can always come right back in.
Yep.
I'm like, are you serious? Why wouldn't you wait till the person drives away? Really, Lucas? Would you have waited or would you have just done what Lucas did?
No, I would have waited. And then that's when he goes into the ceiling tile and looks to see the bag of cash and finds the ledger. And then we just go to the cafe next. And Lucas tells...
Okay. As much as we love Lucas and everything, and you want him to take Dan down, but wouldn't it have been funny if Dan would have just walked in and just like saw him up in the ceiling?
Yeah.
Like caught him red-handed. Like, yes, I'm on Lucas's side, but he's being stupid. He's trying to be sneaky, but he's being stupid. So I just think for comedy, it would have been funny.
Right. And then, so Lucas tells Andy what he found at Dan's office. And Andy, asks how much money there was. Lucas says there was too much to count while his head was in the ceiling.
That was funny. Well, how much was there? I don't know. Too much. My head was in the ceiling. I was like, okay, what did you think of this dynamic, Lucas and Andy?
Yeah, it was, it was just odd just because we haven't seen them, bond too much for a while. And it's just, it's like he gives this whole new energy to Lucas than, versus Keith. Because, Keith's like the father figure and the uncle, while Andy seems kind of like the older brother in a way to me,
Well,
just because they're closer in age too. But
I hate to say it, but like Andy kind of seems more fun.
Yeah. Like I said, like a brother,
Yeah, but he
like
just
a parental
seems
figure.
But he just seems more fun. Like Keith is definitely like the follow the rules, blah, blah, blah. But like Andy seems just fun in general. And so you'd want to hang out with them. And so it's just funny. Well, plus you have to remember they are kind of close in age.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not well, and then too, I mean, once Andy kind of came in the picture, Lucas, it was shortly after that Lucas moved in with Dan. So it's not like they really got to bond because he was then living with Dan.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of weird that now they're going to bond.
Yeah, like I said, yeah. And then Annie explains to Lucas why Dan would have that in the ceiling, because he's doing it illegally, doing something that he shouldn't be doing with the money and the ledger. So they agreed that they both have to get the ledger to see what it is. And then at Anna's, Darby shows up because she got Anna's email, I guess. We didn't see her do that or even mention Darby in a minute. It's just about the girl that, she had the rumors about from her last school. And, Anna's speechless because I guess she didn't think Darby would show up. And then, they're just kind of standing there awkwardly. And Darby adds, says if they stand out there any longer, someone could see them and start rumors and then she would have to move again.
Well, but she got the email. So, of course, she's going to show up.
Yeah. I just didn't think, I just think Anna wasn't really ready to, I guess, be in public with Darby again.
Well, then why did she send the email?
I don't know. And then, so Darby thinks that coming to see Anna was a bad idea. Anna says no and grabs her arm to stop her from leaving and then invites her in. And then we go to the meeting with Jake's lawyer and Peyton's there for support, but she shouldn't be legally, I feel like.
Why?
I don't know, because she's not family and also a minor. I just think she wouldn't really. I mean, if the lawyer was, kind like that, maybe he would let her. But I don't know. I just feel like he would tell Jake that she doesn't really necessarily need to be there.
Yeah, but
she's not involved either. Exactly.
Well, she kind of is.
I mean, yeah, because she's been an accomplice to Jake hiding Jenny and all that. So
yeah, but I feel like Jake, because like the lawyer is working for Jake, so Jake can have anyone he wants there.
Okay, yeah, I haven't really been in anything like this, so
that's why I feel like he could have Peyton there because the lawyer is working for him at this point, so he's kind of in control. So, yeah.
So the lawyer says that the judge has already ruled Niki custody of Jenny, and a warrant's been issued for his arrest.
He's like 16. The warrant's up for your arrest, Jake. Oh, Jake.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously though, like, how can he get out of this?
Right.
I mean, there's a warrant out. Like, what? Like, realistically, what can he do?
Yeah, so he asks, the lawyer, how long would it be if he gives up Jenny today? And the lawyer answers
3 months.
2 or 3 months, yeah. And then we go to Nathan, where he enters the bar where Taylor's working at. He asks her about gin and tonic, and she asks to see his ID, and then asks what brings him in town. He says he wanted to check out the Swinging Donkey to see if it's as classy as everybody says it is. Yeah.
Does this bar look familiar to you?
Is it from the college years of Joey?
It's Hell's Kitchen.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, oh, look at that. It's Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah. I didn't really notice until you mentioned it, but
Like, we saw a lot of Hell's Kitchen back in Dawson's
Mhm.
Creek.
Yeah. And then Neil asks what does he think? He says not so much, but it
I
does
will
have one thing he's
say,
craving. Yeah.
well, I will say Taylor was going to tell him that she had talked to Haley, but then she stops and that can wait. I'm like, really, Taylor? That can wait.
When was that moment?
Huh? When they were talking. Because when she said she had to get back to work.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just wrote, they have that moment where they're smiling at each other while she makes him a gin and tonic. And then she says her phone call worked and asks if he's staying the night. Nathan says he doesn't know. He hasn't thought that far ahead. Taylor says she's house sitting the apartment upstairs. He's welcome to stay with her. And he says it sounds like a plan. And they smile at each other again. So I didn't catch that moment when she said that. And then Niki shows up at Payton's house with a warrant. And, of course, they trash talk each other. And, oh, no, that was later. I'm sorry. She tells Jake, she wants to meet him with no police or lawyers at the river court at 6, passing along the message to Payton. And she tells Payton that the police are watching right now. And so she should know that as long as she's helping Jake hide Jenny, she's an accessory. And that means
Oh my God, what'd she say when she said, you can always go to college after prison? I'm like,
yeah.
really?
Mm-hmm. And then with Anna and Darby, they're walking out and about. Anna says to Darby she guesses she told people at school about them. And Darby says no, just her. And Anna asks how people took it. And Darby says it was divided, still is. Some people don't want to be seen with her, but she found out who her real friends are. She admits to Anna that there were some dark days after she left and it hasn't gotten much easier, but doesn't regret being with her and coming out.
So when they run into Lucas, it's like, here's Anna still trying to hide it because, even though Lucas already knows.
Yeah.
And because, it's like, oh, hi, who's this? And she doesn't want to say who it truly is.
Yeah. First, yeah.
But finally she does. And it's like, oh my God. Because it's like, really, Anna, you're going to ruin your relationship with Darby. Lucas already knows and he hasn't said anything. So don't you think you can trust him by now?
Right.
Well, and then you can tell by like Darby's face. It's like, oh, like she's not ready and I guess I'm going to leave. Like you could tell on their faces. But I was happy that Anna finally said something because then Lucas is like, oh, like I heard all about you. And it's like, all right, there we go.
Yeah. Gave him the go. Yeah. To say something. And then, Anna asks Lucas if he wants to join the tour of Tree Hill. And he says he would love to, but he has to go meet someone. So he'll call, he says for her to call her tomorrow. And tells Darby it was a pleasure to meet her. And Darby tells Anna that Lucas is cute and then whispers to her who's a better kisser, which is funny. And then next scene is where Bevan goes to visit Brooke at Karen's.
Oh my God, this is weird.
Was it the cafe?
No, it was at the house because she walks in Lucas's room and she's like, I've always imagined this room.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm like, you've literally thought of Lucas's room? So does that mean you were into him, Bevan?
Yeah. And then Bevan tells her to get dressed for a surprise, and Brooke says she can't. She has to work at the cafe. And then Bevan tells her there's a cheer squad. The cheer squad's throwing a party, and she needs to be there.
I didn't like when she said that they were concerned with Brooke because she's been all into her presidency, as she called it. And I'm like, so she's changing for the better. Like, at this point, like, I don't like Bevan. Like, she's trying to bring her down instead of Brooke changing for the better. I don't like Bevan in this episode. First of all, she's annoying. And secondly, she is trying to bring Brooke down. I don't like it.
Yeah. She says she's been drifting. And then Brooke mentions that Karen said she only needed her for a few hours so she can do both.
Oh, so that means you can drink and then you won't show up, right? Good job, Brooke.
Yeah.
Like, and here's the thing is, Karen's counting on you. Like, really, Brooke?
Yeah, and then Jake goes to see Niki at the motel she's staying at. Niki asks how did he find her, and he says he guessed he's better than, at this than she is. And
I did like when when he said that he wasn't gonna meet her at 6, like he knows better. And I was like, yeah, because she'd have the cops and everything there for you.
Yep. Yeah, Niki tells Jake to stop hiding all of it. She has the right to her daughter. And Jake says
Really?
she's
Well,
not
what
giving
happened
her.
with the year before?
Right. And then Niki at the last second tries to throw in that, Jenny is not his biological daughter.
Did you see though that he like for a second he stopped about and like thought. Then he was like,
Mhm.
"Nice try. She'll always be mine." And I'm like,
Right.
I mean, to tell you the truth, she don't look like either one of you. So
Yeah. And she tries to like gaslight him into thinking because she said they always use protection, but again, we know that condoms can break sometimes without realizing, so she can't use that.
Mhm. I mean, he did think about it.
Yeah.
I will say that.
hmm And then back at the bar with Taylor and Nathan, Taylor is encouraging Nathan to drink more. And
Why?
yeah. And apparently they've been drinking for like the last 2 hours.
Why? So that he can stay there tonight?
Right.
Like, why does Taylor want to get him drunk?
I don't know. That's just the kind of person she is, at least in this episode.
Especially when she said nothing, like, later on when she says nothing's going to happen, then why do you want him to get drunk?
I guess to help him forget. I don't know about Haley.
I mean, to make him think something like, really, Taylor? You're going to just make
Mhm.
him think something's going to happen?
Right. And Nathan asks Taylor, how does she end up there? And Taylor says she doesn't know. It's what she does best. Nathan asks bartending. Taylor says finding random places to party. Next week it'll be someplace else. And then Taylor mentions Nathan isn't wearing his wedding ring. Nathan says neither is
Yeah,
Haley.
this is where she brings up
Oh,
this is
yeah.
where she
And
was
I
going
see.
to tell him about Haley in
Right.
the phone call.
Yep. Yeah. So, she has to go back to work. And Nathan says that he thought her shift was over. And she says somebody has to pay for the drinks. And then Taylor and the other girls have like their own Coyote Ugly moment on the bar with cowboy hats. And then one of the girls puts a hat on Nathan and pulls him towards the bar. Taylor helps him up. And then dances very provocative with him to be his sister-in-law.
Well, I guess him and Haley are over, so I will say I loved it because I do love the movie Coyote Ugly.
Yeah, me too.
So wasn't Coyote Ugly filmed there?
I have no idea.
But yeah, because I loved it. I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna do it. It was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Brooke gets back to the house where Karen was waiting for her at the doorway and turns the light on. Karen asks if she had fun tonight, and Brooke says not really. The party was weak, but she had to be there. Apparently, she's drifting.
Oh yeah, but that was funny because Karen goes, "You've been drinking," and she goes, "No, drifting." It's like,
Mhm.
Brooke, you've been
Yeah.
drinking.
Yeah, which answers that question if she's been drinking.
Yeah. And then she says that she was supposed to be at the cafe and Brooke lost track of time.
Mhm.
Right. But
Yeah.
I did like when Kieran said like she wanted the money back, that and
Yeah.
Brooke goes,
Yeah.
yeah, and she goes, but I spent it. And it's like, good job.
Yeah. Mhm.
But then, she told her to go to bed and then she was grounded and I loved it. And she goes, grounded? I've never been grounded in my life. And it's like, oh, first time for everything.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
so
That's
good.
Karen's good. Yeah.
But I love that like Karen came down on Brooke. It was great.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because Brooke is being so annoying. Like, here's my thing about Brooke. Somebody like you would have been in California by now if it wasn't for Karen. And
Mhm.
this is how you're gonna treat Karen.
Right.
You had here's the thing. She wasn't drinking when she made the decision to go to that party. So it's not like she was impaired. She
Mhm.
had her full brain at that point. And so the fact that she chose that, well, then you know what? That's your my thing is Karen can ship you off.
Yep.
And you would think that if you're staying with somebody who's
Mhm.
helping you out, you wouldn't do that to the person.
Yeah. And then she had the nerve to say that Karen isn't her mom.
It's like, then bye-bye. Well, and two, remember what happened to Peyton when Peyton, remember the whole drugging?
Right.
Like Karen is responsible for Brooke. Brooke
Mhm.
goes out, something happens to her. Karen's responsible. So the
Mhm.
fact that Brooke is going to just put Karen in that situation is
Right.
terrible.
Mhm. And then the next scene is Lucas and Andy break into the dealership, which was a lot
Okay,
easier.
Cynthia, I have a question.
Yeah.
How does Lucas have the code for it?
Yeah, I don't know, because later on I remember Dan said that he, put more security in his office because everybody has the code for some reason.
Because I would think Dan would only give certain people,
Mhm.
like managers,
Yeah, and just the kind of
the
person he
code.
is too. Mhm.
Yeah. because I would think that he would give certain people a code, not everyone. And so
Mhm.
the fact that, and then plus Lucas, doesn't really trust Lucas fully, clearly. And so, and he's only using Lucas.
Unless he had Lucas have the code on purpose to, make him think he's actually uncovering
Trusting
something
him.
that Dan's doing. Yeah, like baiting him.
Yeah, like, I trust you. Here's the code, but I really don't.
Yeah, like he's trying to think, Lucas is onto him, but he's just playing him the whole time. So
Wait, well, that's the funny thing is Dan's always 10 steps ahead. But Lucas doesn't think so. Yeah, maybe that's why he gave it to him. Like, here, if I don't give Lucas the code, then Lucas will think, that I don't trust him and
maybe,
that
yeah.
he can't like get ahead of me when I'm
Mhm.
always ahead.
Yeah.
But two, like, yeah, it's just weird. But also, Lucas actually breaking, like, don't you think Dan would be watching? I would be so fearful that Dan would be like parked outside watching.
Right. Yeah. Because they have no cameras in there, like Lucas said, just the alarm. But that was funny how when they were walking, they ran to that cardboard cutout of Dan.
Yeah, that was funny because they're both like
Mhm.
jump, and I'm like, oh, that was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, the
Like
thing that got
thinking it was
caught. Yeah.
actually Dan.
Yeah.
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 But I just
And
don't get why they're doing like, I'm sorry, but Dan is too scary to like do this to.
yeah, risk it. Yeah.
Oh my God. And then of course when they go in, there's nothing there.
Yep.
Duh, because Dan's like onto you people. Like, really? And then Lucas is like, I don't understand. It was there a few hours ago. And Andy was like, he's onto us. He
Yeah.
knows. And
Mhm.
then like Lucas was like, he was like, so what do we do? And Andy's like, we're done, like game over. And
Mhm.
I love that because it's like Andy knows how powerful he is.
Yeah, when to
And it's
stop. Yeah.
time, and it's time to stop. But
Mhm. Yeah.
Dan's like, or not Dan, but
Lucas. Yeah.
Lucas is like, we gotta keep going. And it's like, no, dummy. Like, this is why you're the teenager. Like you need to stop. Okay. But then what I don't understand, Cynthia, is when Lucas said, like, he's not gonna do anything. I'm his son.
Right.
Do you remember? It was just a couple months ago, he wanted you dead. Like, that's
Mhm.
all he talked about was he wanted to abort you.
Mhm.
What do you mean? I'm your like, I'm his son. He won't do anything to me.
Right. And Andy points out, what he did to Keith, his own brother.
I know, but why didn't Andy come back at how has he treated you your whole life?
Right.
I just was like, Lucas, you are really being brainwashed by Dan into thinking that he cares because he hates you.
Mhm.
But when he said that I'm his son, I was like, okay, you really are stupid
Right.
at this point.
And then he tells Lucas he thinks it's time that he moved him back in with his mom. Lucas says he
Nope.
can't. Yeah. He tells Andy they're so close, and Andy tells Lucas he has to find out if he's right. If there's any chance that he's onto him, he has to find out, and Lucas says he will. And Andy adds that if his mother asks him anything about this, he's not going to lie to her, which is good for him too. And then the next morning, Karen goes to Brooke's room and asks, where's all this stuff from? And Brooke explains it's from a catalog, and Karen asks if she's going somewhere because she's putting her makeup and everything.
Well, then it was funny because she goes, aren't you forgetting something? And Brooke goes, oh yeah, lip gloss. And then she goes, no, Brooke, you're grounded. And
Yeah.
she's like, what?
Yeah, and like she said that, exercise is, another punishment. She can't do that even just for a jog. When does grounding apply to fitness? And Karen says since now. And Brooke asks what she's supposed to do.
I just love how Karen is on her. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, so she asks what she's supposed to do, and Karen says Lucas does chores, so she gives
Oh my
Brooke a
God.
list.
This was funny because Brooke
Mhm.
she gives her the list and Brooke's like, so I just pick one, right? And she's
Mhm.
like, and Karen goes, yeah, you pick one. And then once you're finished with that, you pick another one until you've done them all. She's like, oh my God.
And then
It
Brooke
was
again.
funny.
Yeah, Brooke, again is being annoying because she says that and no offense, but I didn't come here to be a cleaning lady. And Karen tells her she'll help her pack her bags and call her parents then.
Exactly. You can move away.
Mhm. Yeah, Brooke says, so she's like imprisoned here, and Karen says she can leave the house for school and work. And Brooke asks what work, and she doesn't have a job. And Karen says she'll pay her back the money she gave her because she has a job at the cafe. For real now.
So when Brooke said like she's in prison, Karen's being nice to her because do you remember what Karen did to Lucas? Remember he was only getting bread and water?
Yeah.
So I feel like that was more like prison than this is. Like really, you can still eat when you want. You can still eat whatever. Lucas had more punishment. Lucas had his room taken away, basically. Remember, she had sheep taken away. Like really, Brooke, that was harsh. This isn't.
Yeah. And then Lucas is called into Whitey's office at school. Whitey
That
tells
was
him to take a seat
funny.
next to his partner in crime.
And of course, it's Peyton.
Yep. And then he starts off with calling them Bonnie and Clyde.
That was cute.
And yeah, they're probably wondering what
I'm a Lucas and Peyton fan, so I loved it.
Yeah. And then the next scene, we see Lucas walk into Nathan's apartment with Whitey right behind him.
Oh my God. And Jake's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, Lucas is just like, calm down. Like, coach just wants to talk to you. And it's like, but like, I have a question though. Why did Whitey call them in? Like, how does he know what's going on? Did like the school go to, or did like the police go to the school and say this kid has a warrant out? I mean, what happened?
Yeah, maybe. And I don't think Jake's going to school right now either, so that could be it too, that he noticed something was wrong.
Because I'm just so confused at why Whitey would know this information, that something's going on. That he would bring Peyton and Lucas in, like, of all people. Like, how does he know these two have something to do with it?
Right. And then, Lucas lets them have privacy to talk, and Jake tells Whitey he already knows his options, and Whitey says, that's from what he heard only has one option.
Yeah, prison.
And Jake says he can't give Jenny away, and Whitey tells Jake he has a good chance of getting her back, and Jake says he doesn't want to take a chance like that, and Whitey says it beats alternative though. And then that's when Jake, says does it, and then gives the explanation of why he can't trust Niki with Jenny alone. Because apparently she left her, she passed out in the car when it was freezing outside and freezing the car because the car was turned off. Or no, was it? I think it was running. I can't remember. But either way, Jenny had no blanket or anything, so she was just freezing in the back seat. And this was just right after Jenny was born, and his parents were out of town that week. So, he had no choice but to leave the baby with Niki because he had his game away at Bear Creek. So, and then when he called Niki, there was no answer, and that's when he found them in the car because he looked everywhere. And it was parked across the street from a bar, so Niki was probably drinking too. Yep, the keys were in the ignition, and there was frost all over the windows. He couldn't see Jenny or Niki. So yeah, it was just for one night, and Niki couldn't do it. So how could he trust, Niki to have his daughter for 3 months worth of nights? That is a good point for Jake, but I don't know why he waited until now to let everybody know, because he's been fighting it, saying he can't do it. He can't give up Jenny. You know what I mean? Right. And then back with Anna and Darby. Darby asks Anna how it felt when she came out to Lucas. Anna says terrible, scary, and it still is. And Anna asks Darby the same question about coming out to her parents. So basically, Darby ends up giving her the same advice that Anna would follow later on in the episode about practicing in the mirror, and then go downstairs and tell them that she loves them very much, but she has something she needs to tell them about herself. Anna asks how do they take it, and Darby says not as well as she hoped. She still thinks they're trying to process how it affects their lives. And then Anna goes into, Anna asks what does she mean? Darby goes into it. Apparently that she read a book about it, and that parents find out their child is gay is like losing a loved one. All their dreams just vanish, no weddings, no grandchildren, which just shows how much has changed since 2005 because, you can't get married because it's legal.
Have kids.
In the moment, at least. Yeah, and have kids as well. That's also still possible in the moment. Not sure about next year, but yeah, so at least that has changed. But, things are still kind of weird, but she doesn't think she's ever been closer to them before because at the end of the day, she knows they still love her. And, Anna tells Darby she's braver than she is, and Darby says she isn't. And yeah, so she came to see Anna because she wanted to let her know that if she ever does come out to her parents, she's going to be okay.
I did like how Anna had somebody to turn to because, like nobody in Tree Hill is, or, has come out that, we know about on the show.
Yeah.
So it's nice that she had Darby to ask questions.
Yeah. Because that can feel very isolating when you don't have anybody like that. Like I personally ended up finding other women online that I could relate to that were about my age. And then, yeah, so then we just go to the next scene at the bar again with Nathan and Taylor. They're playing like that, arcade basketball game kind of thing. And Nathan tells Taylor about his dad telling him that he can forget about practice as long as you come to play on game day. When the stakes are high, odds are you'll come out a winner.
I loved when she said, "Since when do you take your dad's advice?"
Yeah. And Nathan says there's only one thing he knows about, and it's winning. And Taylor asks what are the stakes are tonight. And Nathan says if he makes a shot, they go upstairs. And Taylor asks,
Ew.
yeah, and
That
do
is
what?
so gross.
Yeah. Because Nathan says whatever he wants. And if Taylor, Taylor asks what if he misses, and he throws the ball and makes a shot.
Okay,
So,
like you really think Nathan's gonna miss Taylor?
right, yeah. And then upstairs, he pushes her against the door right away about to kiss her, but can't do it.
And then she goes, "Oh, because of Haley." He goes, "No, because of me." Huh?
Yeah. And
Like,
then that's
when has that stopped Nathan?
right.
When? Because
Yeah.
I'm not getting it. And plus, aren't they kind of done
Yeah.
in the moment? So he would have free range, right?
Yeah, and then that's when Taylor admits to Nathan that Haley caught her right after she left Austin, or he left Austin.
Oh my God. It was funny though, because he goes, "Were you planning on telling me this before or after we had sex?" And she goes, "We weren't going to have sex." She goes, "I knew that. I was just waiting for you to figure it out." I was like, oh my God. But again, why is she knows this. So why is she getting him drunk and stuff leading up to it?
Yeah.
Why is she letting him? Why are they going upstairs when that leads to stuff? Like, why? Taylor, I don't get it.
Yeah, they
So
said
I
the
have a
same thing on
question.
Drama Queens. Yeah.
So, like, Taylor was really going to let Nathan make out with her, and like, when was she going to stop it?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, Nathan's the one that stopped and didn't kiss her, but if he did, when was she going to stop it?
Right.
Especially because when she was staying with them, all she was doing was making passes at him and flirting with them. So you really think she was going to stop if he wanted to? It's hard to believe that.
Yeah, that's what they said on the Drama Queens podcast too. They don't know why they had Taylor, make this choice, without stopping him beforehand, or not even go upstairs in the first place with him. But yeah,
she could have just said, "You're drunk," and no, like nothing's like when he said, "If I make this shot, we're gonna go upstairs." She should have been like, "No, like
right.
that's not gonna happen. You can go upstairs and sleep it off, but like that's not gonna happen. There's nothing between us." Like she should have stopped it then, but no, why'd she have to go upstairs and make it all like no, Taylor?
Yeah, she could have just gave him a meal for free or something like that,
He needed some water to drink it off so that he could go home. Well, and then at the beginning though, to like get him drunk so that he could spend the night, like that's just leading to something.
Yeah.
And then as Haley, like you trust Taylor?
I mean, she probably
Like
doesn't.
of all
But
people?
yeah, I mean, you should trust your sister, but yeah.
No, but if your sister's Taylor, no.
Right. And then Taylor, says that Nathan's lost and lonely, and she's good at making people forget how lonely they are.
Well, okay, especially given what we find out in the future about Taylor and what she did to Quinn, like taking her boyfriends and stuff, like
It makes sense. Yeah.
it makes sense why you wouldn't trust her. So the fact that Haley just trusts her with Nathan, that's why I'm kind of like, does Haley not love Nathan?
Well, does Haley even know that he's there though?
Why else would Taylor call him?
Just because she knew that Nathan went to go see Haley, and it didn't get anywhere, so she knows
thought
Nathan,
she had a chance.
Maybe, I don't know, or maybe and her, like at the end, it was like her own messed up way of trying to make him figure out that he has to live for himself and not for Haley now, or something. I don't know.
Because I'm just so confused, because it's like she called him as soon as she got done with talking to Haley, but then because she knew that they weren't together. So like invite him over to the bar so that she can get him drunk. And then, oh yeah, we're not going to sleep together.
Right.
I'm just so confused at what her thinking was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Nathan being drunk, he said that's a nice way of describing what she's really good at. So she tells him to sleep it off. He has a long drive tomorrow. And then Nathan asks what Taylor's going to do. And she says apparently what she does best and slams the door on her way out. And then the next scene, we see Dan shredding papers in his office at home.
Oh my God. Okay, so this is another dumb mistake on Lucas.
Yeah, this was even worse.
Watching Dan, and then Dan sees him just standing there. I'm like, Lucas. Okay, don't you think that, okay, if you had glanced over and you saw Dan doing that, you already know what he's doing. You don't have to stand there and watch him. Wouldn't you have like knocked on the door or like backed up and then walked in real quick so he would think that you're just walking in instead of standing there? And like there was other ways to play it, Lucas. You didn't have to just stand there and gawk over him and then have Dan finally look up and see your dumb ass. I'm like, that is the dumbest thing you can do.
Right.
You're standing in the doorway in front of Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
And plus Andy said to stop it. So it's, and then you're just gonna be dumb enough to like he already said he's onto you. So yeah, let's just keep doing it. No,
Well, I think this was kind of an accident because he said he was returning a book.
I know, but why is he standing there?
Yeah, no, the saying doesn't make sense. But
This is what I mean is why didn't he back up, walk in like you're like you have intentions to give the book back and not pay attention to what Dan is doing? Like, why did you just stand there and then Dan has to hide the stuff and then is like, oh, hi. Like, it was so weird on Lucas too. Or why didn't he knock so that Dan like looks up and sees like, I don't know. It was just weird. I'm like, there's other ways to play it instead of just have Dan see that you're watching him.
Yeah.
Because now he knows that you're on to him again, even at home.
Yep. And then apparently the book that Lucas had was a book of from Sherlock Holmes, about Sherlock Holmes. And they get into the analogy about, you know, Sherlock and the villain, Professor Moriarty.
So which one's the villain, Lucas or Dan?
Well, Dan, obviously. But, you know, the villain was Dan's favorite character, which no surprise. And, you know, because even Lucas says, you know, that's the villain, right? And he says that's just one interpretation. So, you know, of course, in Dan's eyes, that means he doesn't see himself as the bad guy. Of course. And then back at the house, Lucas comes home to find Brooke using a sponge to clean the kitchen floor.
What did you like when he said, "Hey, Cinderella"?
Yeah.
Was this before or after Cinderella story?
Well, I think. Oh, well, I was thinking of the original Cinderella story. I wasn't even thinking about his Cinderella story, but yeah, that was after. This was 2005. I think that was 2004, maybe or something. Or 3. Yeah, 2 or 4 or 3. One of those. Yeah, it was 4. So just right before this. And then, you know, Brooke says she can't believe Karen grounded her. She thought she liked her. And Lucas says, you know, his mom does like her. She just cares enough to ground her.
Okay, but then of course he just finds it so funny that she's using a sponge. And he's like, and then he's like, you're using a sponge? And she goes, is that wrong? And he goes, here's a mop. Like, this is what a mop looks like. I'm like, oh my God, Lucas.
Yeah.
The fact that you're showing her what a mop is.
So even though Brooke's home all the time, I guess maybe her parents have a maid to clean the house.
But
so that
when they lost their money, didn't they no longer then have a maid?
I don't know. I can't imagine Brooke's mom clean either. So I'm just wondering, you know.
I guess the house was just messy. Like, because that would be one of the first things that would go if you have no money. Especially if you want to, especially how are you going to afford the big house and all the bills that come with it? So you'd have to get rid of anything, lawn service, everything.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make any sense that they'd keep that.
Yeah. I guess Victoria just never told Brooke how to clean, I guess.
Well, Victoria probably don't know how to clean either.
Yeah.
Let's get real for a second. Did Victoria come from money too?
I think so. I'm not sure. Well, didn't Brooke say that her mom married her dad for his money, so she didn't want to do the same thing with Felix? So yeah,
but Yeah, but did she come from money too?
No, I don't think so.
Oh. Well, then she should have. Then she probably knows how to clean,
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I just didn't care to teach Brooke, I guess.
or
Yeah.
she tried to forget that, like that was her old life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what? But then Lucas, like Brooke is supposed to learn something, right? How is she
Mm-hmm.
going to learn anything when he offers to help her with her chores?
Yeah, I think he was just being nice, you
I
know.
know, but she's supposed to learn something.
Mm-hmm.
But you doing half the chores is not teaching her a thing.
Right.
First of all, it's teaching her how to do the chores that she doesn't know how to do, which, like mop.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, yeah, it's not teaching her anything. It's teaching her that again, somebody's going to come in, rescue her and do something for her.
Yeah. Lucas just has a habit of doing that.
I know. It's annoying
Yeah.
because she should just do the chores on her own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it says anything for her. And then the next scene, Anna is rehearsing in front of the mirror like Darby to come out to her parents using the exact same words. Then continuing with her reason for why she wanted to move, she told them it was because she couldn't take the rumors, but it was really because she was running away from her life. But the rumors are true. She likes girls and they taught her to always be proud of who she is. That's not so easy for her. But she's been able to accept who she is until hasn't been able to accept who she is until now. She wants to let them know this is hard for her because she loves them so much and never wants to disappoint them, but she has to stop disappointing herself too. So that's her whole speech. And but then we transition into her practice for the speech to the real speech. Um, but like we said, we only see their blurry figures, so we don't see how they took it. But then we go to Jake with Jenny,
And
who
he's
telling her,
leaving.
yeah, he has to do something tonight, but he needs her to know that he searched the bottom of his heart and he truly believes that this is the best thing for her and for them.
So I did not like Peyton's being selfish in this. I did not like when she was like, "You're leaving," and it's like Peyton. Like, what other choice does he have? First of all, besides go to jail.
Hmm.
But then again, no matter where you go, you're always going to be like looking back because you're never going to be fully good and
Yeah,
safe
straight.
because the cops once they find out where you're at, they're gonna come get you. So you're
Right.
always gonna be on the run,
Hmm.
which isn't good. But also, so he thinks that's good, which I think he should talk to his parents. But anyway, Peyton's being selfish because he's trying to take care of his daughter, and here's Peyton being like, basically you're leaving me. Like this isn't good. It's like what's Peyton for once. Think of somebody else. Put yourself in his shoes. I just I just don't like Peyton in this. Like she's always about herself. Even like before, remember when he was like, "Well, I'm only going to be here a couple days." And she's, "Well, what about me?" It's like it's not about you. Stop thinking everything's about you, Peyton.
Well, I took it she just didn't want him to run again and make things worse for himself.
I know, but he already said he's not going to jail. He's not turning himself in.
Hmm.
So, and he's not going to give up his daughter. Like he's already said that.
Hmm. Yeah, well, and then she said that she'll go with him, but he tells her she can't. And Payne wants to know where he's going at least. Maybe she can help. And Jake says that he can't tell her right now, but he needs to know that he's never been happier than he has been with her. And he's never felt this much of everything. And if he could, he would stay with her forever, but he can't. And then he tells Payne she's the only one he can truly count on. And that's why he needs her to do one last thing for him. And then the next day at the bar, Taylor finds Nathan outside and asks if he was going to sneak away without saying goodbye. And Nathan says he didn't think she would want to see him. And he tells Taylor he's sorry for what he said and how he acted last night. Taylor says it's okay. He gets one free pass with her, but next time he has to watch his back. And Nathan says he had fun before that. And Taylor says after a while, parties blend together. And sometimes she wishes she could start over. And Nathan says she can. They all can. Taylor says not her. Once people think of you a certain way, you're never going to be able to change their minds. She is who she is and she has to live with that, but nobody has put a label on him yet. He can still be whoever he wants to be. And then, Nathan says without Haley, and Taylor says if she's not there for him, he has to start being there for himself. And Nathan says he doesn't know if he can, and Taylor tells him he can, he will. He has to wake up every morning and live his life. And Nathan asks what
But
happens
you
if
have
she comes
to,
back.
but you have to think too. Like when when he got emancipated, Haley was one that helped him.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that he's done for himself, Haley's been there.
Yeah.
So I mean, for him, he doesn't know what to do because he's had somebody to help and guide him. And, when his whole world came crashing down, she was there. So it's not like Lucas that, he does things for himself. It's definitely different. So for him, it's like, well, I don't know if I can survive. And it's like, you can, he just has to reprogram himself. It's going to take some time. But yeah, I mean, for him, it's hard because she's been there. She's helped him. I mean, she kind of told him basically to emancipate himself. So,
Right.
for this whole thing to even start. So, yeah, I mean, for him, it's a little different.
Yes, Taylor says that'd be his decision if she comes back. And then we see Jake go to the police station to turn himself in.
Oh my. Okay, but like, my thing is, he was going to jail no matter what. Whether he turned himself, whether he gave, okay, because if he gives up Jenny, he's going to prison. If he turns himself in, he's going. So either way, he was going. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I guess he just needed Payne to believe that he was running off again so she wouldn't know where Jenny was or something. I don't know.
But remember when his lawyer said, well, because when he said, well, when will I get her back? And he was like, well, basically, they're going to keep you until you do or whatever. But it's like, either way, he was going, though. So it's kind of confusing because I'm like, either way, Jake's going. So it doesn't really matter, does it?
No.
If he gives her up because he's going no matter what.
Right. I guess he just didn't want Niki to have Jenny no matter what. That was his goal, his issue, his concern.
Yeah.
And then we see Anna going to see Lucas, and she tells him that she came out to her parents, and Lucas is happy for her, asks her how her parents took it. She says she's not sure. They cried a lot, but she thinks that they're just trying to understand. And that after she was done with her speech, they told her they love her, which is all she wanted to hear. And Lucas tells her he's proud of her. And then Anna says there's more. She told her parents that they always taught her to be proud of herself, and the only way for her to do that is if she goes back to boarding school and finally be who she is. This seemed like a step backward in a way.
Yeah, you're going back to all the rumors?
Yeah, and it's like she's still kind of running from Tree Hill as well for the same reason. And then plus, like, she knows that, at least in Tree Hill, she had Lucas to be there for her and Peyton, just not at the moment. She kind of already had, like, friends that accepted her already, and she kind of has to start over again when she goes back, besides for Darby being there, you know what I mean?
Well, and then for them to know that the rumors are true, I just feel like it'd be, because obviously they're all judgmental there. So I feel like it would be worse to go back to it.
Right.
Instead of just starting fresh somewhere new.
Yeah. But obviously the writers, were done
Wanted
with
her gone.
Yeah, done her story, done with the character. Felix is already gone, so they had to, have her leave for some reason as well.
It was weird though when Lucas was like, I'm gonna miss you. And I'm like, when have you really spent time with her?
Yeah, it's as of lately, yeah.
Like, you haven't really, so you really won't miss her.
And then
okay.
Yeah, and then with Peyton too, I hate that we didn't see them say goodbye,
Yeah, it was weird because she's like, oh, she's busy. Like, I'll just call her later. And I'm like, don't you think Peyton would want to see you?
Yeah. Yeah, and later she just calls her and be like, "Hi, Peyton. Yeah, just let you know
I'm
no longer in Tree Hill." So
we'll like meet up somewhere.
Yeah. So what was the last time they saw each other? When they talked
it,
about Felix tagging Payne's locker, and it was not just about Payne, it was actually Anna. Yeah, so that was like the last conversation, which was a good one, but not like,
well, it wasn't
a good
about
conclusion.
them.
Yeah.
It was about Felix.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like they got to have like a cute little
Closure, yeah.
girl bonding moment of like, I'll miss you. Like, just, it was about Felix. Like, it always comes back to Felix.
Yeah, so Anna tells Lucas that he's been a great friend to her and she's a better person for knowing him. And then they, mentioned the one last game of horse. So at least they had their own little closure of their friendship. And then, yeah, it was nice to see Anna and Lucas have a friendship after all this, because it seemed like Dawson's Creek tried to do the same thing with Jack and Joey, but then it kind of fell apart later on,
What, have a friendship?
Yeah, after they dated and everything.
Well, I know, because then like Jack moved really quick with the friendship with Jen. And then it was like I think it was because Joey had too many boys in her life.
Maybe, yeah, but
You know,
sort of
because it
nice
was
to see.
because it was Dawson and Joey, and then it was Pacey and Joey, and I think they were like, there's too much Joey and boys.
Maybe, I don't know.
And plus Jen then didn't have somebody, so they're like, oh, we gotta make it the Jack and Jen story. Because then Joey would be on screen too much, even though it seemed like that's what Dawson's Creek became, was Joey's story. And
Right.
and everybody else was just side characters. I guess maybe that, because they did act like, oh, we're friends, but it's like, but are you really?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they tried that, but I guess it didn't work.
And the next scene is at the cafe where Brooke is working when Bevan walks in. And then apparently there's another party that, is the biggest part of the year and that you have to go to.
Okay, it seems like there's all these parties that are just like that.
Yeah, that's what Brooke points out too.
It's so annoying.
Yeah. So she just gives her the invitation and, doesn't have her say another word. She's going.
I didn't like that because it's like, this is what I mean. Brooke has not learned her lesson.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, is she done being grounded?
I don't think so.
I
No.
didn't hear Karen say, like, you're done being grounded. Remember?
Right.
I didn't
Yeah.
hear that. So when she said, oh, I'm going to go, it's like, so you haven't learned anything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then it was like, then you feel bad for Karen because it's like, then it pans over to Karen. And you
Mm-hmm.
see Karen's reaction of like, she just heard all this.
Right.
Like, really? Like, this is when I'd call the girl's mother and be like, you can have her back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's too stressful for me. Like, my son was never like this until he met your daughter. So, she can go.
Yeah, and then Brooke didn't even see her because she just like kind of walked right in front of her to go to the next table she was clearing. So,
But again, she hasn't learned anything. Like, I'd send her back. Like,
mm-hmm.
I'd wait for my son to come back.
Yeah. And then at the dealership, Dan calls Lucas into his office. There's a man installing a camera in there.
This was so good. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, on Dan's part.
Yeah.
Because like Lucas like walks in, of course, it's like the first thing he sees is the camera. And
Mhm.
Dan was like, I just upgraded the security system. Okay, so I will say, when Dan says too many people know the passcode, I think he meant Lucas.
Yeah.
Well, because you said everyone has the passcode. I don't think so. I think only managers have it and Lucas. But I think he was trying to hint right here,
Mm-hmm.
you know the passcode, and I'm not going to tell you it.
Right. Dan also said that he said besides outside the family, you never know who you can trust these days. So I think he said that to throw him off. But yeah.
Well, I think he meant like a hint, like, I know I'm onto you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why he said it was, we can't trust anyone. But also, little boy, I can't trust you either. But I do think nobody has the codes except for probably managers. I don't think everyone has it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Dan is that trustworthy to hand out trust to every employee. Like, really? Because employees can leave next week. It doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm. And then he tells Lucas he got him a book of memoirs of Sherlock Holmes. He marked his favorite story in it for him. Lucas opens a chapter titled The Final Problem.
So the final problem is you, Lucas. Here you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Lucas already knows that he read it. Dan says it wasn't popular with the fans, but he thinks it's some of Doyle's most honest work. And because he wrote what he was feeling, he got tired of writing that character, the snoop, all the sneaking around, the deception, but he knew when it was time to end it.
Oh, Cynthia?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is Dan, like, we know, but it's like, why is Dan giving Lucas this story of deception and sneaking around? And I mean, like, of all stories to give to Lucas,
Mm-hmm.
this is what you're giving.
Yeah, so that's, yeah, exactly. This is him telling him very directly that he knows what he's up to. Yeah.
I know. So don't play with me, little one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dan says that Sherlock Holmes falls to his death, and Lucas tells Dan that he thinks he missed the point because when Sherlock falls off, he pulls the professor down with him and sacrifices himself to bring down the bad guy. That's the point that Doyle was trying to make, and Dan says that's one interpretation again. And Dan looks to the cameras just as it turns on and says to Lucas that he'll be seeing him. So another jab of like, I know what you're doing.
Okay, this is my thing. Is like we're supposed to hate Dan, but it's just so funny because it's like Dan is always ahead of everybody, and it's like here it is. It's like I'll be watching you.
Yep.
It's like I love it because we're not supposed to love Dan, but it's like Lucas is being so stupid that you just have to love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do because I'm like Lucas, you keep thinking you're ahead of Dan, but he's just how are you gonna get out of this one now, Lucas?
Right.
Now, Lucas, I feel like just has to be on his best behavior because any little off movement that he does now, Dan is gonna know.
Right.
And also, if you're Lucas and you're with Dan because he's paying for your meds and keeping that secret,
Mm-hmm.
why would you? Because at any moment he can tell your mother. So why would you ruin that? This is why I don't even know why he was going after Dan in the first place, because Dan still has something on him. It's one thing if he was free of all of that, but the fact that he wasn't, I'm like, why would you even have the nerve to say, "Oh, I'm going to get him," when he still has something on you?
Yeah, maybe the writers just forgot that, he still has his heart condition and needs the meds for it that Dan is paying for. I don't know.
And also, Cynthia, if he takes down Dan, who's going to pay for his meds?
Right.
You can't take down the person that's paying for your medication.
Mm-hmm. That keeps him alive, yeah.
Okay, so you take down Dan. You still have to eventually tell your mother, because then your mother has to pay for your meds.
Mm-hmm.
What is Lucas thinking?
Yeah, like I said, I think the writers just kind of dropped the ball with the heart condition and thought they could just keep moving on like this.
I mean, seriously, Lucas? Because that's the thing. It's great that Lucas wants to tear Dan down, but at the same time, wouldn't it be better if Nathan did it?
Right.
Nathan has nothing to lose. Dan's paying for nothing. Dan has no secrets over Nathan.
Nope.
But he does over Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
So Lucas should not be the person that takes him down.
Right, yeah.
So that was just weird to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think Deb should have been the one to take him down instead? Like Deb, Karen, and Andy working together, not Lucas? I don't know, just somebody else besides Lucas.
Yeah, I mean, Andy and Karen were trying to do that, but they think, they undiscovered everything against Dan, except for Andy knowing about the money in the ledger now. But yeah. And then
especially because Deb doesn't want Lucas living there, right?
Right.
So wouldn't it be like a good thing to be like, I'm going to help you get your son back. I'll work with you. And, I also don't like what happened to Keith. Like, they should all, as the adults, be in on it to get him. I mean, Deb's living there. She can get information.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like she would be a perfect person to, work with instead of the teenager, the dumb teenager, shall I say?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Lucas, it wasn't being smart in anything he was doing.
Everything
he did in this episode was wrong.
And then we see Anna leaving Tree Hill alone in her car. So still no parents with her. Apparently, I don't know if they already left or they're leaving later. But either way, she's gone. Or maybe she's driving to her school. I don't know. But anyways, back at the police station, Jake is taken to custody. Then the police show up at Peyton's with the warrant to search her house for Jenny. And Niki's with them. And then they look in her car
Niki,
seat.
it's so funny because like Niki's like, I won, I'm getting my kid, which I don't even know why she wants Jenny, because that means you actually have to take care of her. But and I think she's been happy this whole year of freedom. So I don't know why you'd want Jenny. But anyway, yeah, she's like, I got you. But then of course they lift up the blanket or whatever, and there is just a basketball.
Yep.
No Jenny. And then Niki's just like looking at her like, what?
And then Jake is told his rights at the station. He says he understands and lead him off to a cell. And then Karen gets home to find Brooke doing the dishes. She points out Brooke is home to, you're home tonight. You're not out, because she knows about the party.
Well,
Brooke
she
says,
goes, yeah, I'm grounded.
And then Karen says, not anymore. She thinks she learned her lesson.
Okay, but then she goes to the party. Like, I still would have let her go to the party.
Yeah, it's just because I guess she chose not to go to this party and, like the last time, and ignore her responsibilities. So I guess this one moment of good judgment is good enough for her, I guess. And then in Dan's home office, Lucas takes out the bag of the shredded paper from the machine and puts another bag of paper in it to replace it.
Why?
Yeah, I'm not sure how he even got that, but
Well, first of all, again, you're being stupid.
mhm.
How do you know? Is Dan home? How do you know Dan doesn't have cameras hidden in his office?
Yeah,
Especially
especially
because he knows you're onto him.
especially after putting the one in the dealership office. Yeah.
Don't you think the guy would say, come over to my home, put some in my office so that this little kid doesn't snoop? Especially because Dan knows that Lucas saw him with those papers.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows that Lucas is going to snoop. So why would Dan not have cameras in his home office? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Or have an alert be sent to him of like, there's movement, action going on in your office.
Mm-hmm.
Something. I'm like,
Yeah.
you think that Dan doesn't? I would be scared to death that Dan would have something. Like, I would never do it because I'm like, the fact that he did that to the dealership, that's protecting one thing. I think he would protect his home first,
Right.
where Lucas lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be a little afraid that he'd have a camera in my bedroom and everywhere else. Like, I just wouldn't want to live there. That's why I'm like, Lucas, his office, you're going to go in his office? You're an idiot.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then Nathan gets home and plays a voice message on his machine. It's from Haley. She says she needed to call because she wants him to.
Delete.
Yep. Before she can even finish her sentence. And then he takes his wedding ring out of his pocket and places it on top of the voice machine.
But I did, okay. As much as we saw that, I did notice something that was on the fridge when Jake was opening the fridge or when he was in the kitchen. It was a picture of Haley from that. It was like a little picture of Haley from that thing that Peyton did, the different colors. Remember how it was the big canvas thing on the wall of Haley?
For the wedding?
Yeah, it was like those different colors and it was like her face.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was a little picture of that. It was
Okay,
just
yeah.
a little picture and it was on the fridge and I was like, that's odd. Because remember when he was throwing everything away?
I guess he must have kept something.
He kept one picture. I was like, I don't know. Because remember he painted over her face. So wouldn't he rip that picture up too?
Yeah, I guess you think, yeah.
I don't know. I was just like, he was in the getting rid of everything. Wouldn't he have gotten rid of that too? Oh, and it was on his fridge. Every time he opens it,
She's
gonna
right there.
see
Yeah.
it.
I don't
I
know.
thought that was odd. I was like, of all places to, I mean, put it in the closet where you'll never see it again. It's like, why would you put it on the fridge where every time you open it, you're gonna see it?
Right.
That's just, I'm like, that's not exactly smart. So I don't know if the writers or whoever, if it was whoever does the decorating or what, somebody I don't think did a good job on that one because they didn't think about it. But that doesn't sound like a thing he would do, especially because he was throwing everything away. It's not like he boxed it all up where he'd forget a picture. He was burning it all.
Yeah.
So that didn't sound right to me that he would do that. Plus, if he was keeping something, I feel like he'd put it in a drawer hidden or something, not on his fridge.
Right.
Especially because he was so angry, he was painting over her face. So, because he didn't want to see it. So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't get why you would keep one picture of Haley like that on your fridge. It just didn't seem like a Nathan move.
Right.
To me.
Yeah, the only thing I think of is maybe Lucas had found it somewhere and put it up there. I don't know, but
then I would have liked to see that.
Yeah.
Like Deb did. Remember when Deb had that one picture and she put it up? I was like, that was good because we know Deb did it.
Yeah.
Or maybe when Jake and Peyton were there and they probably cleaned up a little because they didn't want to live in the mess. Maybe they did, but I would have loved to see like Peyton put that picture on. Like instead of, because then we're thinking Nathan did it.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're also thinking, why would Nathan do it?
Right.
Especially because I just, that's what I mean is I would have liked to know somebody else did it, not Nathan. Because then it just
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. And then Peyton goes to visit Jake in jail. They talk through the phones in class. Peyton asks why he didn't tell her, and he says that he knew she'd talk him out of it. And Payne asks where Jenny is. He says she's safe, and Payne tells Jake that she loves him, and he tells her he loves
So
her too.
because we didn't know at this point
Mm-hmm.
where, like, who had Jenny,
Yeah.
my thing is you're putting everyone you know in jeopardy because everyone is not, like, whoever has her or knows something is gonna be arrested.
Yeah.
Because think about, remember when he moved to Savannah or whatever with his cousin or whoever it was? I'm like,
Mhm.
so you're putting that person in jail. Like, whoever Jenny goes to
Yeah.
out of town is
Mhm.
going to be at risk.
Yeah. And he keeps saying he doesn't want to keep dragging people into it. Yeah.
But he is. He's
Mhm.
dragging everyone into it.
Yeah.
But obviously she's going to go to a family or friend out of state or something.
Mhm.
But okay, my thing is, like, detectives. Because this is a child that isn't where she's supposed to be, don't you think that they would be searching family, friends, everyone
Mhm.
he knows is
Yeah.
related to?
Mhm. Yeah.
And then, like, okay, you're cousins of that person. They're gonna look for your friends because
Mhm.
maybe they know something. Like, the detectives would be on to him. I'm like, really, Jake? You don't think they're finding your family?
Right.
That's just a little messed up to me that he didn't think about that.
Mhm.
Because obviously, then we go to Whitey driving
Yep.
her.
Yep.
But Whitey is only driving her to a location.
Yeah.
But again, the detectives would investigate his whole family, everyone he knows, everyone that knows his family. They would look into that. That's what they do.
Yeah.
So eventually they will find her.
Mhm. Yep. So that was the end. And best and worst,
No,
or highs
high
and lows. I mean,
and
yeah.
low.
Yeah.
My high was um Anna coming out to her parents, but the funny part was Dan being on to Lucas. And then the low. Oh, I also liked that we got to see Hell's Kitchen again. But also my low was Jake having a warrant out because he's just gonna sit in prison now. Okay. It's kind of like they're gonna forget about this storyline, aren't they? That he's in
Mhm.
prison.
Yeah.
Um, so there's that. Um, and then the other low was Taylor getting Nathan drunk
Mhm.
and then making him think he has uh like he could have sex with her.
Mhm.
What about you?
Yeah, my high was yeah, Anna coming out to her parents, it going okay. And then also with Karen disciplining Brooke because she needed it. And then the low would be just the long, well, Jake going to prison or jail and but still hiding Jenny, so things are still bad for him. So he should really, it should take even longer now to get Jenny back, if anything. But
Yeah,
also,
because if you're not gonna spill,
mhm,
oh, here's another year for you in jail.
yeah. And then just the long game of basically like cat and mouse with Lucas and Dan. And then rating.
Um, I'd rate this a 9. It was actually good and entertaining.
Hmm.
Just the whole back and forth with Dan and Lucas was funny.
Hmm.
So, there's that. So, yeah, 9 for me.
I just say like an 8. I mean,
Why?
it was interesting, but just knowing, the episodes are coming up too, they're more exciting and entertaining. So, and
Then
then
who's your best and worst?
best is Karen, like I said, with her disciplining Brooke because she's never had that. She never had someone looking out for her and showing the best interest in her because we know her mom isn't like that at all, whether she's a teenager or her adult life. And then the worst is Dan, just because he's just messing with Lucas. He knows that he has the upper hand, but he wants to still think Lucas has it, and just loves torturing Lucas. Yep.
So for me, I picked the best was Karen. Because someone on this show needs to be a parent. But also, and I loved her interactions with Brooke. It was funny. But also, the worst was Brooke because she's a lot like Lucas, going after the person that is kind of saving you at this point. Lucas trying to go after Dan when he is paying for your medication, and Brooke not listening to Karen and she can ship you off tomorrow. Like, really? So for me, Brooke was the worst because she's not listening to authority, and this is the person you're supposed to respect and listen to the most because she can ship you off. You're not her kid.
Yeah.
And if it was me, you'd be too stressful, so I would send you away.
Yeah, she's given her, a roof over her head and food and all that. So,
and a job because she doesn't have to let you work at Karen's cafe to make money.
Yeah. And it just kind of seemed like a backward steps with Brooke as well. Because she was doing so well with her program, the cap share for the DW, not I. And then her presidency, as Bevan calls it. But now it kind of like she went back to her partying, irresponsible ways. So I don't know what's up with that, but yeah.
That was the thing is like, I would have loved Brooke so much better if Bevan would have come with this party thing and she would have said no. Brooke would have stood her ground and is like, no, I'm not going to. Like, I have a responsibility to Karen to go and help her out. I'm not going to ruin my chance of staying in Tree Hill for a party. Like, that would be the new Brooke. But the fact that she was going back to Earl, oh, I can go. First of all, you should be asking Karen if you should go, if you can go. Because just because your mommy and daddy didn't have you ask, you're living under someone else's roof, so you should.
Yep.
So I didn't like that she was falling back to her old ways.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah. So what's the next episode?
Episode 19, I'm wide awake, it's morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Yep, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Duo Chat Podcast. And give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it.